Yeah, and there's also like I think it's 1 minute and 50.
Let me know. Okay, good. Okay, there we go. That's what I'm looking at.
Yeah, once that goes up, it's to have enough time. It's to have enough time for Microsoft to like
Go
all the
live.
socials to go live on their side. So give it a little buffer.
Take your time. It's all good.
Okay,
All right.
so we're all three.
Ella has us live on our platforms, everybody.
All
We are
right.
backstage at the Microsoft 365 Community Conference. I'm whispering right now because we're just about to go live on all of Microsoft's socials. You guys know who I am. I'm going to do my whole 2-hour program. So we've got 1 minute to count down before we go live on Microsoft's 365 community channels on all their social channels. And so you guys are getting a backstage view of me. First is going to be a perspective, an economist view about how small businesses are going to transform the world using AI. Then I'm going to be joined by 2 technical experts, and we're going to do our webinar, How Small Businesses Build AI That Works, right here from M365 Con 26 in Orlando, live on Microsoft's channels. And then we're going to have a panel of our guests from our grant program made possible by NextGen 365 and Microsoft. So hold on. You got 24 seconds, 23 seconds. Go grab a drink, get yourself situated, relax, and then you're going to hear. I hope that I'm going to convince you that small businesses are the
10
missing
seconds.
factor that will change every part of society thanks to AI. In 3, 2. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Microsoft 365 Community Conference 2026, M365 Con 26. Here live in Orlando, I'm Nico Bernie Miller, the CEO of Change 3, and I'm also honored and proud to be the fractional CMO of this conference. This year, we're doing things a little bit different, and I hope you guys have noticed. Buckle up and sit in because we've got a 2-hour program on this stream where we're going to cover what I hope you're going to agree is probably the biggest topic in AI that very few people are talking about: small business. So I've got a 3-part program for you. And the first 15 minutes is my economist perspective of why every small business in the world will create a wave of potential, a wave of creation and innovation that will absolutely transform our world in ways that we can't even imagine and ways that are so positive and powerful. And that we as humans, whether we work in large companies or small ones, have such an incredible opportunity to help each one of those tiny businesses, those future businesses, those going concerns to start their journey in AI. And I think that Microsoft 365 is the perfect platform. And I say that not because they're paying me, because that's what happened for me. So I'm going to make 3 claims. You might be thinking, girl, I work for a big company and I have nothing to do with small businesses. My first claim, I hope, is going to change your mind. And so my first claim is this: out of all the billions of people, 7 billion people, 7.5, 8 billion, who knows, of all the billions of people that are on the planet today, we're all connected or impacted by a small business on a daily basis. If you're connected to Microsoft 365 community channels and you don't agree with my claim, baby, blow up the feed. Comment, interact, say whether you agree. If you do agree or you're not sure, take a moment and just reflect and think, did I order takeout? Did I get a lift here? Have I driven an Uber recently? Did I visit a local coffee shop? Did I take my clothes to a dry cleaners? Did somebody clean my house or have a landscaper? There are millions and millions of small businesses around the world. They surround us. They're part of our communities. They are our communities. Now, I'm an economist by training, and I'm a CEO, and I'm a mom all the time, and a wife, and a rancher, and a researcher. But I'm going to throw some stats at you to blow you away. So, first stat: 99% of all businesses in the United States are actually small. That's defined as under 100 employees. If you take that to the world, it's the same, right? Almost every business in the world is actually a small one. Now, here's something that'll really blow you away because you'll be like, oh, yeah, they're small, but most employees work for big companies. Wrong. No. 70 to 80% of all workers in the world today work for small companies. So let's really let that sink in. So, Mr. Sir, CEO of Microsoft, and every CEO in the world that's creating technologies that's transforming our lives, this is my plea and my proposal to you guys. The true wave of innovation has started in the world's largest companies, and you guys have done such an incredible and powerful job. Take all that wisdom and distill it down so that the world's small businesses can use it to bring about the next age of transformation, innovation, and creation. So, if 80% of all the world's workers work for small companies, who will help them and enable them to bring and transform their businesses from the people, the processes, and the procedures? That's going to be my next claim for y'all people, right? So what else? Small businesses, I would say there are about 400 million small businesses in the world. But if we add in independent contractors, people that are working in an undocumented businesses, I would claim that it's a billion. So that's 1 in 7 humans work in a small company. So claim number 2. Now, if I don't break my tablet this time, then we might make it, okay? So let's see. So claim number 2. The smaller the business, the bigger the impact that AI will have. Let that sink in. So I'm sure you've been seeing news and maybe you're feeling scared because you work in a big company or maybe a mid-sized company and they're like laying off people left and right or you're worried about it. Well, the thing is, and I know this because I run a small business. In a small business, baby, you don't have nobody to lay off. You got 13, 14 jobs that you really need to get done. And AI is suddenly your perfect, compliant, fully transparent, completely enabled, completely evolving workforce that you never knew that you had, honey, for $26 a month. And if you get a discount, it might be less. And like, let that sink in. If you're a business owner, if you work in a large company, and you have small suppliers, these are the conversations that I want to spark inside your brains today. Small business is the missing piece of this AI era. And that is our opportunity as an ecosystem, particularly as a Microsoft 365 ecosystem, to enable them in a way that they never thought was possible. Now, I know you people are looking at me going, she is only 22 years old, but baby, I've been doing this for 3 decades. And in the 90s, in the middle of the 90s, when we had the dawning of the commercial internet, I watched where 0 of the Fortune 500 had a website to within, I don't know, maybe 5 or 6 years,
It's 329.
they all had websites, right? And remember that wonderful thing, Y2K? Well, we saw the dawning of the internet era. And I was there, right? Riding the wave as a researcher, came out of school as a quantitative economist with multiple degrees when I was in my 20s, like my early 20s. And so what I saw, I didn't know as part of history, and you guys probably don't know that you're part of history today. The internet era rushed in this age of information age, right? And before that was the industrial age, and before that was the bronze age and the iron age and the stone age, right? We're about to enter into the AI age. So for 30 years from 1996 until now, right, 2026, we had this information age and we saw the rise of the internet, we saw the rise of cloud, we saw the rise of as a service, software as a service, cloud as a service, infrastructure as a service, people as a service, everything as a service. And now we are about to enter into the AI age. But here's the thing, it's not going to happen in 30 years. It's going to happen in like 30 months. And the thing is, when the internet age emerged and it was all the hype and the hype cycles and all the dot-com boom and all that great stuff with so much excitement and all this kind of fanfare, but then you develop things like the bleeding edge where you had things that were really hype rather than practicality and nothing was based and rooted in reality. And it took us probably a decade to kind of figure it out. But in the AI era, we're able to synthesize the world's information with these large language models and understand context and understand history and understand connections and make connections and spot patterns that we've never seen before. And so what that means is in the next 30 months, maybe we'll give it 36, whole industries, whole job functions, whole disciplines are going to change. And the other thing is we have more visibility than we ever had. We didn't know we were living history in 1996. And we didn't know we were still living history in the early 2000s and in the 2010s. Well, but today we know we are part of history. We are experiencing a fundamental societal, economic world shift in how things get done. And maybe I'm drinking too much Kool-Aid because I'm at M365Con 26 and it's pretty freaking awesome. But I would say that Microsoft is literally the bedrock of that shift. And I say that because, honey, I used to use Office when it was in boxes. And I remember when I moved to Amsterdam from the United States and I had a small business that I formed, and it was my second one at the time. And I was like, oh my God, I wish this was in the cloud. And I remember bringing on my discs and, working on my projects. And I remember, I wish everything was in the cloud. And then a few years later, Office 365 was born. And it was like everything was in the cloud and everything I had imagined. I thought, oh my gosh, this is amazing. Seismic shift. Now I have access to AI through that same platform that I've been using for decades, that I'm sure if you're a small business, you're probably using it too. And you might be thinking, oh, it's only $15 a month or whatever, right? There's simple economics going on. And you might think, well, why do I pay an extra $20 or $25 or whatever it is for this Copilot thing? Well, I hope in the next 2 hours, I'm going to convince you that this Copilot thing or whatever AI thing you choose is going to give you all the resources, all the talent, all the capability that you needed to realize your vision, your dreams, your potential. And I've actually got real small business owners that are going to show us. So I made a claim, the smaller the business, the bigger the impact. And again, if you don't agree, blow up those social channels and be like, this is why I don't agree, because I'm going to read it all. But if you do agree, then start thinking about, well, what you can do? And that takes me to my third claim. All of us can make, whoops, all of us can make a lasting impact to bring about a positive future simply by helping one small business that we're impacted by from one day to the next. Is it the dry cleaner? Is it the Lyft driver? Is it the Walmart delivery person? Whoever it is, some small business that you're impacted by, that you're part of. If you are the small business owner, this is your moment, baby. This is your moment. And for me, I chose Microsoft 365 Copilot as my bedrock for my AI journey. And so far, it's been a pretty great journey. Yep, things get better. Things aren't perfect. I have skills that I have to learn. I have things that I have to learn. But that's the journey of any business owner. And so far, this journey's been pretty awesome. So what I've got for you guys today, and we are late. We are going to do a webinar, and I'm joined by two technical experts, two partners in the Microsoft 365 ecosystem, experts in their field. And we're going to have a 45-minute session on how small businesses build AI that works. Let me let them introduce. Hi to the folks and get on camera on Microsoft's channels.
You're back on your stage.
Great. All right. All right, guys. Welcome. Thank you for joining me. If you're not in the webinar and you want to, and let's say you have a small business, or maybe you have a team, you have small businesses in your supply chain, and you want them to gain access to the guidance that you're going to learn from these two experts today and maybe me, then make sure you guys register on our website, change3e.com/events. You'll find our event. It's called How Small Businesses Build AI That Works. Only register if you want the post-event follow-up. If you don't, honey, we're live streaming this whole thing on Microsoft's channels today. Please watch it for free. We're going to walk you through a 4-step model to change your mindset so that you start with the right foundation to build your AI capabilities. It starts with a vision and a strategy. And there's some technical steps that you need to take along the way. So let me let each of you introduce yourself, and I'm gonna start with Adam.
Hey, everybody. My name is Adam Dean. I'm the president and CRO of HBAR Solutions. We're here to help you realize your AI dreams and make sure that we align the technology stack to make sure that you're getting the actual outcomes that you're trying to achieve.
Awesome.
Hi, my name is Gilda Alvarez. I'm a cloud architect, data engineer, and I help people migrate to the cloud.
Awesome. So, guys, I have 4 points that I'm gonna make, and I want you guys to talk about it and be like, girl, you wrong. So, my first point is every AI initiative that's gonna be successful, and I'm not talking about some, because girl, we were talking earlier, and you said, people jump into this thing and they're like, oh, I wanna do this, and they're not ready. But I would say that every successful AI project starts with a vision, right? An outcome, what you're aiming for. What do you guys think?
I
That's-
definitely agree. Oh, go ahead.
That's
Sorry.
definitely exactly how it starts. So look at what the biggest pain is and how you can improve it, and then use it as a use case. Then you bring it to the people that know how to take it and make it possible. And that's it. So you just have to come up with the idea, and then we take care of the rest.
Yeah. And it really starts with that idea. A lot of people want to start thinking really big when really it's just starting with the smallest idea that you can and a workflow and a work stream that you know is going to be the outcome, to be able to trust it, to be able to validate it. And then the more that you understand that it's going to give you the right results, then you kind of let it go a little bit more and go further. And then, yeah, it's all about that outcome and how are you going to drive to that outcome?
Absolutely. Can we, so I'm gonna double click on what these 2 experts just said. They said, start with a vision, start with one project, one workflow, one work stream. So that means start small. Don't come out of the gate swinging like, oh, I'm gonna go transform my whole business. Yes, you will do that one day, baby, and you'll get there, and you're gonna get there fast, but you got to start super duper small so you can figure it out. Because here's a couple of things that I learned on myself. Last year, I went to this conference, and I was honored to support the folks who run the conference. They're incredible people. They are a small business themselves, a family-owned business, just amazing. And they honored me to allow me to help them and support their incredible energy. And I came thinking, oh, I'm just a supplier and I'm just here to check it out. But the thing is I actually attended the sessions and I went to the keynotes and I was infected by this incredible energy, right? And I was like, oh my gosh, I want to do that. We should do that. We should do this. I was taking pictures, sending stuff back to my team. Like, did you know this was in BIM 365 and it's free? How come we're not using this? And so what happened is after the conference, I went back to my team and I started with one person. Like, this is like the truth. It's not a paid commercial or anything. I started with one person. It was the person on my team that I love, and she speaks really well, and she's got great relationships, but honey, she is horrible on paper. The emails, the documentation, no good, right? So I thought, okay, let's help her. So we started with her, and they were having a sale, and it's just the Lexus sale. So we got a Copilot license for her, and her focus was meetings, but she did so much more. And it was completely transformative in like hours. Like the moment she got Copilot, her emails were suddenly like well written, and she started to have things documented and PowerPoint slides and everything. I mean, and this was last year, and where it is today is like light years ahead of where it was last year. And meeting notes, action items, I mean, it literally transformed how the whole company was working because we're small. So we have 47 employees, and a lot of them are overseas. But one person in a 47 person company makes a huge impact. So then I thought, okay, well, if that's going to work with her, let me do a few more people. So now about half of all of our workers have Copilot, and it's 100% transformed how we work because they're more productive. They gain access to more intelligence, more information. They can think through problems. They get support. And it's not always easy and it doesn't always work, but it's a skill set. Like, you have to be a better leader. You have to be clear with what you want. You have to know what you want. And so that's really the thing. You have the vision. You start with one simple workflow and then start to build your skill of how you work with this new tool. I always tell people, yes, you can go on Google and search how to remove an appendix. And yes, you could go to Amazon and get all the stuff you need, but I wouldn't encourage you to go do it, right? But with AI, yes, you can become a coder, you can build applications, you can do all kind of stuff. But in order to do it well, it takes a bit of an approach. This is my opinion and I would love you guys' thought. It takes like an approach with how you build trust and build capability with the AI. It's like an exchange, a conversation. What do you guys think? Like,
I definitely agree. I would almost look at AI as almost like another employee in the company,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Because you're trying to teach it to do a specific function that you as a leader are trying to get the job performed. And when you kind of think about it that way, it's going to need some training. It's not going to get it straight right off the
Right.
bat.
Right.
And you do have to fine tune it. You have to also give it more context. The more context, the more fine tuning, you're able to get that outcome and that result that you're trying to achieve.
See, that's the $1 million point that you just made right there. And that's going to transition me to my next part. Fine tune it and give it the context it needs. So let's talk about that. And I want both of you, especially you as the data architect, like what does that look like? So let's say, you got 47 employees and you're all using Microsoft 365. Let's make it even smaller. Let's you got 10 employees. You're all using Microsoft 365. You're like, oh, I want to transform my business with Copilot, and we're going to start using it. Are they ready? Can you just jump in, transform everything? Are they ready? What do you think?
I would say nobody is born knowing it all, right? And AI is kind of like a child. Whenever it enters your company, it's going to learn from everything you do and it's going to adapt. It's not going to be the perfect one in 6 months, but give it another year and it'll surprise you because it's a learning process, even for us, right? I call it also something you need to be careful. It's like a savant child. Savant child are extremely smart, but you can't trust them to go to the bathroom and do exactly, you have to be monitoring. So there's always that human in the loop until you are completely sure that that process is going to be completely 100%. And even then, you still need a human in the loop. So yeah, so I would say give it a try, let it grow and it will surprise you.
So Adam, talk to me about like the data plane or the systems plane, right? So because you and I had that conversation yesterday in the booth, like you've got Microsoft 365, maybe all 10 of your employees are using it, and maybe you want to activate, let's say SharePoint or something, and activate some of these cool things that we saw yesterday. But we're not ready. Are we ready? Can you just be like, yeah, I'm gonna do it, poof, and push a button, or what does that look like?
Well, I think it also depends on the size of your company. So you definitely want to understand your data. You want to understand the sensitivity to the data and where your data stores are. So you want to make sure, for example, if you're a group of 10 people, you probably don't have a full finance team. You don't have a full IT team. A lot of the things overlap, but you also don't need sales to know the back end bookings and things like that.
Yeah.
So you definitely want to have that governance layer in there, and Microsoft Purview is amazing for that. And then being able to set that up. And then you also, once you have your governance layer, that's kind of when you can train your agents. You can build agents. It's super simple in Copilot to build your own agent. In fact, if you don't know how to build an agent, ask Copilot how to build an agent.
That's awesome.
It tells you exactly how to do it.
Mhm.
And you can build those agents, train on that data with those guardrails, because when you're actually building an agent, you want to make sure it's got the same security parameters that a normal person in your company would have.
Awesome. So I'm gonna keep pushing you, right? Because this is important, right? So if you have Microsoft 365 Business Standard, right, and you got 10 licenses, do you have Purview?
You do not on Business Standard. You need Premium for
You
Purview.
need Premium. And so would this be something you like upgrade on your own? You go into your admin center, you'd be like, oh, I'm gonna push these buttons. Would you recommend that they do that on their own, or should they get like a little bit of help?
I would definitely get a little bit of help on it, and then that way you can crawl, walk, run on the features,
Yeah.
and work with your CSP. Like where CSP, we help our customers do the migration from where they are today and where they want to be in the future. It does take a little bit of training and understanding the features. There are different tools inside the Microsoft environment that'll help you self-guide through that. But it's always good to have a discount double check,
For sure.
So.
Do you have to do it yourself? Like, because see, this is my person right here, right? To help me on my transition. And the way I feel like I don't want to know any of it, right? I want to know how it works, but I don't really want to do it. So would you say like your company in particular, but like a company like yours could be the perfect partner for that small business that wants to be a frontier firm and they're using Microsoft 365 as their foundation, and you're like, I got you, right? You get everything set up right. Would that be the relationship, how it would be structured?
Yes, absolutely. So you would definitely want to work with a MSP or a CSP, and then they can help you based upon what you're trying to do and do the implementation. There's lots of tools out there with firms like us that can be able to manage your tenants securely and be able to provide the level of service that you need and turn on the features as you need them and as your company grows.
Cool. And then Is it super expensive? Be like, are we talking like, I'm doing like $15 per person right now, and now I'm going to like 45, or is it like, what's it look like? Is it like a huge jump, or is it like a little bitty jump?
It's actually a little bitty jump, especially if you're going from the business standard and you already have the intra P1 licenses to go to premium.
Mhm.
I think I did a cost analysis for a customer about a month ago, and you actually save like a few bucks throughout the month, but you get
Awesome.
such an incredible amount of features.
Cool.
And then you mentioned the Frontier program a minute ago.
Mhm.
The Frontier program is amazing. They actually showcased coworker and
Yeah.
researcher, which
Yeah.
was so awesome to actually see Copilot using
Yes.
GPT and
Claude.
Claude
Yes.
all together to
Yeah.
combine, ask it a question and create an outcome, which is
Yeah,
amazing.
so amazing. So, and I know, okay, like I bet you all the Microsoft people watching this are cringing right now because we're talking about monthly prices and stuff like that. And guys, I'm so sorry. That's not my goal here. My goal here is because as those small business customers who are using it and they're looking at their bills, I'm like, yeah, this is really affordable and this is cool. They might still feel a little bit worried, right? That's the number one worry is this transition going to be like something I can't do? It's like, I can't afford it. I can't manage it. I can't handle it. I feel overwhelmed. And we don't want that. And what I'm trying to show you is it's none of those things, right? It's not that expensive. It's actually pretty affordable, and it's actually pretty simple to do, especially when you got a partner. And these partners, especially this homeboy right here, are like super nice, and they have this wonderful community. And like the whole goal is to help you, right? And that's the whole thing. So let's get to the next part. So we talked about you start with a vision, you start small. You probably got the bedrock you need, which is Microsoft 365. That's my opinion. I'm sure other people out there's other stuff. If you want to mess with all that other stuff, that's your business. But I would say do this one. But so the next thing is, what do you do next? Okay, so you got your vision and you're ready to go. So always say, and I got a little visual if I don't drop this thing this time, you just go one step at a time, right? Just go one step at a time. And you just like I started with one person and she started rocking on meetings. And here's what happened, like what Adam said. Oh, you can make your own agent. And she did. Like she used Copilot, it taught her how to make an agent. And we made a meeting agent just for our company because we do things a little differently at Change 3. And so, she had a meeting agent and it transformed our notes. It transformed how our AI recap spit out our notes and turned that into action items. Then we started to use Planner and Loop and try to create automations. And, that was a little spicy. But, after we had one person do it, then I started to have, I think I had 6 people and then it was like 10. And then, I think I'm about 50%. And then the other fools, they not getting Copilot. But what I found is that person that I started with became my champion. I didn't know that. And that's actually an official thing that they're like, you get champions to teach other people. And it naturally just had a champion. And she did. She did training courses for the whole group. And then she trained individual people and helped them. And it was like the coolest thing. So my point is you step one step at a time, one person at a time, especially if you're small, one little person at a time. Let them get comfortable, build the trust, build the skills, learn stuff, get excited. And then they'll teach other people so that you don't have to worry about resistance because that's the thing we want to avoid, right? So, Gilda, what do you see? Do you see a lot of resistance as an enterprise data architect? Is that like a headwind that a small business would have to worry about? Like people being like, no, I don't want to use that.
Yes. So there's a lot of resistance today with even legacy systems that were
Mhm.
used 20, 30 years ago. The same people that are using they don't want to change.
Mhm.
And I can try to sell them the best, but no, it's a risk, and it's human nature, to be
Mhm.
honest with you. We cannot fight that. We don't like change. The brain doesn't like change. However, I wanna make sure we understand a little bit because everybody talks about AI, but you gotta split them.
Yeah.
Okay. You have AI for productivity, which is what we're talking about here.
Yes.
And then you have AI engineering. Okay. So your idea to become vision to a product requires the engineering behind it. You got in your environment the productivity AI capability that you can expand on. And when you're ready, you move into creating that solution that will be capable of scaling your business, right? So I just want to make sure we kind of.
So good.
So in the productivity section, we have this whole thing. Microsoft is pushing, but we also have, as soon as you're ready and you know what that use case or that specific idea that you want to make it, we can scale it out and we can just let it like a tree, just
Yes.
it'll start growing, right?
Mhm.
So yeah, so it is going to be, you're going to have the resistance, but as soon as you kind of learn what this is about, you can then jump into the other area, and we're here to help.
Yep. One step at a time. People, processes, procedures. And always start with your people first, because if they're like, I'm not doing this, just like your children, when you're like, eat the broccoli, right? You're gonna eat it. You don't want to cram it down their throats, right? So you gotta ease them into it so they're like, okay, I'll do it. It's got to be voluntary, free will, right? Free will. All right. So I told you I was going to tell you 4 things to change your mindset so that when you're ready to build AI that works for your small business, you've got everything covered in your brain. So we covered the vision. We covered start with the people, go one step at a time. So what's the third one? It's 3 things. Trust, and Gilda and Adam talked about it. You want to do things that build trust with humans. Computers don't trust because they don't feel, right? So the trust comes from the human. The human needs to trust the system. They need to trust the output. They need to trust the agent that you eventually will build. They need to trust what's going on. And that trust requires an environment where people feel secure. And I'm not talking about job security, which can help. And that's a whole different subject for a whole nother day. But the trust that I'm talking about is that your data, your sensitive information, your secret sauce, your special pictures, your company financials, your legal positions, everything, things that you don't want to share, and that you're going to cringe when you find out that your employees are probably uploading all that mess into ChatGPT and Claude today, right now, and you don't even know, and you're going to lose your whole mind, right? That's the first place where you need to start with trust. If you didn't know that, I actually have a small business that we were honored to create a grant program for. And we're going to talk about it in our next segment, which we're not done yet. We're not done with this segment. But we created a grant program thanks to Next Gen 365 Events, who hosts this event, and Microsoft and my little company. And one of those grant participants is having that exact problem. They've got staff that are using ChatGPT. They love it and it's great, but they're creating all kind of data and IP, intellectual property vulnerabilities in their company unknowingly. So Adam, I want you to talk to me about this thing that the average small business owner might not know about, which is called governance. You probably are hearing that a lot, governance. You hear about security, which there's an element of governance that is security. But Adam, give us a little 101 crash course on building governance and security so we can trust our AI systems.
All right. The biggest thing is understanding your data and understanding who can access it. And once you understand you can access it or where it is, what kind of data it is, the sensitivity, you can create a label with like Purview, for example, right? And then with Purview, you can actually block it from going into Claude or GPT.
Cool.
And then there are also other AI foundation models if you really want to get very specific. So say, for example, there's PIH data and like a set, but you still want to use a big LLM. There are models within the Microsoft ecosystem that can go and take that data, scrub the PIH data, and then you're able to take the data but remove the sensitive information part of it and then use that in the large models as well. So depending on what you're trying to do, there's a lot of different ways to secure it and a lot of different ways to clean it.
To clean it so you can use it in AI without screwing your whole thing up, but making sure that it's not too complicated. So I have a question.
Okay.
Is that something that they're going to have to like pay you like $1 billion every week so you come in and do stuff one at a time? Or is there like some kind of a vibe or a strategy or structure that you can put in place so that it's a little bit more easier?
So I want her to help out on this one too, because this is definitely her wheelhouse really well.
Yes,
So
please jump in, Miss Ma'am.
Please jump in on this. But from my perspective is it's not something that's going to be like a break the bank thing. It's more of setting it up. And she's got a very good analogy about creating a clean house. Right?
Yeah.
So many people have ideas that they want to make it possible right away. Their infrastructure, their legacy, their servers, you're looking at the house and it's like, okay, where do we begin? So what we do as expert is we look at the data and we take it and put it in a place where it can grow, where it doesn't have any limitations. And then we shape it into different areas so that it comes out kind of like a plumber. So we're the plumbers.
Yeah.
Pipelines, get it all the way. And then that's how we can translate from here to there. That pipeline is governed by the data governance, right? We need that. And then once you have that pipeline, that road, it's a lot easier to scale your business with more ideas. And now we can grab this, and now we can get that. But I think the big idea of wanting to jump so fast from one place to the other is what's scaring people and not making that one movement. Once you start seeing return on investment, I think that's the big word for everybody as a small business, because they're like, I can hire Juanito and I can start making money right away, right?
Yes.
But I'm going to buy this, and when do I see the money?
Yes.
And with AI, it's something that you're building a very road that is going to be charging, right? Tokens.
Yes.
And then you're going to be able to move all these ideas into materializing your ideas, right? So it's going to take some time to build it, but once it's there, you should be able to just take it.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. So trust. So if you didn't understand or you didn't know, there's a lot of data security and privacy that you should be aware of if you're not. I wasn't aware either. You don't want your secret sauce uploaded in anybody's AI platform except for maybe Copilot. Again, this is not a paid advertisement. These are just facts. You need to protect your intellectual property. And large language models that are like consumer grade, in their privacy statement say, we're going to take all your information and do whatever the heck we feel like with it. And if you weren't aware of it, then baby, please go read the terms. With a platform like Microsoft 365, they talk about this stuff called a tenant, which is your account. And they say your account is your account, like your information is yours. We're not going to share it. We're not going to let anybody else have it. And that goes for Copilot too. So when you upload your financials, when you upload your secret sauce, your intellectual property, your big idea, your special recipe, your new code, whatever it is, when you upload that into Copilot, it's not going into the global model. So your competitor can learn from it. And that's exactly what's going to happen. They might not say, here's Adam's idea. It won't come out like that. But Adam's idea will come out if your competitor is saying, hey, what's a great idea for this new market entry or this new product? It'll be like, hey, why don't you do this? Because that's what they do. And that's great. That's what makes it great. But if you're a small business owner and you didn't know that, well, now you do, right? Governance, trust, build trust. Once you've got trust, take the step. It's like, remember we talked about it, people, process, procedure. So what's important is for you to help your employees know what I just explained to you. Don't be uploading your special stuff into no chat GPT. Come on, right? You got to let them know that and help them understand why. It's not because you're cheap. It's not because you're mean. It's because you guys want your intellectual property is important. That's like the core of what makes your business valuable. And you don't want that to be shared with anyone else. And if they're like, oh my God, we love these tools. Well, get a tool that has governance. And you know what? The other tools might have governance. Go look into it and choose the tool that's right for you. Okay. So ideas, capabilities. Last thing, and let's do a quick time check because we're almost there. We're going to have a panel of grant participants in about 15 minutes. And that's perfect. I'm on time. That's perfect timing because that takes us to our last point. Is that our last point? It is. It's our last point. I told you to go for 4 things. So our last thing is, and this is what I love to do, be supportive and consistent. Did I change it? I did again. Oh my God. Be supportive and consistent. Be supportive and consistent. Who are you supporting? You are supporting yourself. Start with yourself. Support yourself. Be supportive to your staff. Be supportive to whoever is part of this initiative. You will have failures. It's okay. We were honored to watch the head of innovation for British Airways, this incredible person. And also because I was at this conference and because we're out at this conference, a conference like this. Okay, I'm going to do a little 2-second commercial about M365 Con 26 was so cool, right? Homeboy, I think it's John Stewart, John Mars. I'm so sorry, John. Please forgive me. But it's the head of transformation and innovation at British Airways was on the keynote stage with Jeff Teeper, right? It was so cool. And he was interviewed by Caruana, who's the head of Microsoft Community. And homeboy was talking about their whole journey, and it was so great, right? And like, I don't know, 2 or 3 hours later, I saw him walking down the hallway. I was like, "Oh my God, your speech was so great." And I ended up having like a 20-minute conversation with him. Like, where in the world do you get to have that? Somebody on the keynote stage talking to thousands of people about some incredible idea, this huge transformation that he's done. He said they've got $7 billion of investments in British Airways that they're transforming the whole company. And he's doing an incredible job. But why am I telling you about Homeboy? Because one of the things that I double clicked on that he said is that they make it okay to fail, right? They said that he did a lot of research and that for a company of their size, they needed like 50 champions. So remember, I talked about, I had one champion for my little business. And so they said they needed 50, and he created like a whole kind of call for, participation. And he got like 250 champions. And then he had like 500 more because people really wanted to get involved, because what you're probably going to find is your employees are super eager. They're like, I want to try this. So we got all these champions. And what they did is they created an environment, they created a culture where it was okay to fail. You'd be like, okay, I got this use case, right? Adam and Gilda talked about, have one little use case. They had things that succeeded. They had things that didn't work. And that they actually created like, I don't want to say a stage, but maybe a scenario, like maybe it's at a gathering. I don't know. I had envisioned like a get together, with some cocktails, but that's how I think. But I was imagining they got together, and then people would get up and they go, hey, I tried this project. This was my, use case, and it failed. And this is what didn't work. And other people would go, hey, this is my use case, and it succeeded. And he said that they created a culture where like everybody was acknowledged and rewarded and, given big ups, whether you had a success or a failure. Because here's the thing. And I could tell you this. Failure actually is the runway to success.
I agree.
Right?
Yep.
And in 2005, I started a company called iSoda, and I put my whole life into it. And remember, I told you I had moved to Amsterdam. And I was like, I wish I could watch movies, because, in Amsterdam, they don't get all the movies like we get in the United States. And oh, by the way, they do speak a whole nother language called Dutch. And at the time, I didn't speak it. And so I would go into the movie theater, and it'd be all these movies, and they would all be in Dutch. Right. So the few movies that they did have that were American movies was not in English, people. They were in Dutch. Okay. And so I'd be like, oh my gosh, I wish I could just watch American TV. I wish I could watch American movies on the internet. Why can't I do it on the internet? Right. And so then at that time, Adobe streaming server, which is how you would watch movies on the internet or videos on the internet, went from $100,000 per server to $1. So I thought, oh my gosh, I'm going to create a streaming movie service.
Oh, wow.
Right? In 2005. That's when YouTube had first launched, right? And that's why, because it was affordable, right? Just like AI is today, right? And so I started this business, iSoda, and I got like 2,000 movies. They were all like independent movies and stuff. And I got like 3,000 or 4,000, subscribers or whatever, which was, honey, it was not even anywhere near enough money to make it work, right? And it was an utter total failure from a financial perspective. But here's the thing. Oh my God, I learned code. I learned how to deal with developers. I learned how to build business models. I went to conferences. I went to movie festivals. I met people from HBO stars, and they were like, wow, they were so excited. And back then they were like, no, we would never stream our stuff. And look at it now. You got HBO Max, you got Disney Plus. And I would like to say a sister right here was the person that greased that runway so they all took off. And Netflix, because Netflix at the time they were shipping out little CDs, little DVDs. And so I would like to say I would take credit for that. But why do I tell you this story? Not because I'm like, oh, I'm so great. That was a total failure, and it was worth every single dollar. So many dollars you don't even want to know. So many houses I could have bought with that money, but it was worth everything because I learned so much, and I would not be able to be the business owner that I am today and be in this moment and be doing the things that I did if I hadn't had that experience. Failure is the runway for success. And the same is true for your AI projects. So Adam, give me one idea of a failure that turned into a success.
Ooh, that's an interesting one. I've had a lot of failures. I can't think of one off the top of my head, with the just right off the cuff. But I can tell you that going through a failure scenario, like what you were just saying, you learn so much more. And then the more you fail, the more resiliency you build. And that is the huge part. And I guess a simple failure that I've done is that a lot of people who know me is like, I'll do stand-up comedy for fun.
Good for you.
And there's nothing like going off stage after
And
bombing
bombing.
in front of everybody. And you're like, oh man, the whole world saw that. And you're like, nah, no one really cared or something.
No, it's all
But
good.
you just learn how to get your public speaking up. And that's
Yeah.
a really cool thing. And
I love it. And what about you, dear?
So I wanted to add something to your steps. All of the four elements that you're talking about will be driven by what is called the human and AI DevOps. So what DevOps came to do for many of us in the area of technology is unite the developers and the operation to build a process of improvement for every product, for everything. You're stepping into the human AI DevOps where you are going to work with intelligence. This is your commodity. This is our calculator for the next 2 years. The world is going to change in front of you, and you're going to have to learn to work with this coworker so that it can help you improve your ideas, improve your business. It's going to be that process. So today, right, you're increasing productivity for your organization. Tomorrow, you're creating projects to increase and scale out your business. And I just wanted to add that because it's very critical, but that trust is built between you and AI.
Yeah.
Okay. Every step that you mentioned, it's between these two entities that you will have to work for the next 2 years. Very
That's so
close.
perfect. Yeah. And
Man.
don't be afraid to fail, right?
Don't be afraid to
Yeah.
fail, because
Yeah.
what it is that makes this 1.0, 1.2, 1.1, 1.2 is like, oh, we found a bug. Let's fix it. Let's go.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, we found another bug. Okay, let's do it.
Right.
We have 5 bugs on the next, and then you deploy, and you're still improving it. So that's what I wanted to mention on the failure.
Thank you.
It
There-
is important for your growth.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
There,
So, please.
I was just going to add one extra thing to your. It was the British Airways
Yeah.
keynote. It was so amazing. He had
Yeah.
3 big goals, but he broke it into 2,000 different projects
Yes.
because he knew failure was going to be there,
yes,
and that's huge. Where it's like, yeah, it is going to be a part of the process.
absolutely.
To add into the failure, I call myself Gilda 4.0, right? Because
I love
Gilda
it.
1.0 made way big mistakes. And then 2.0, oh, horrible. I started liking Gilda at 3.0. I knew she was a success at 3.0, so I put more effort, right?
Yes.
Until she got to 4.0. I'm about to launch 5.0,
Ooh.
but, that's a surprise.
All
There you
right.
go. Excellent.
Guys, we are at the end of the webinar portion of our 2-hour stream on Microsoft 365 community channels. Thank you so much. We're streaming also on all of our Change 3 destinations as well. So if you're joining us, baby, I hope you buckled up. Go get a little bit of libation and refreshment so you can stay hydrated, because we've got one of the best parts of this discussion coming up. So let me give you guys some context. So I've talked to you about my journey, how last year I came to this conference that we're at today, and that sparked my ideas. I started with one user in my small company with Copilot, and that transformed us. And oh, by the way, we've doubled in revenue, like literally, because we've unlocked capabilities we never had. We serve our clients better, and that's turned into like real money because we've got these capabilities that we can monetize in those accounts. Like you said, where's the money at? And our pace, I call it AI momentum. Our AI momentum is building and building and building. And it is. It's like a little bit up and down. We go a little bit back. I'm about to publish another book, and all of y'all people need to buy it. Okay. I'll give it to you for free because I want you all to know it. But what I did is because this conference means so much to me because of that journey. And the people who own this conference and who put it on in partnership with Microsoft mean the world to me. They're incredible. That I begged and pleaded, and I didn't need to beg or plead, but I asked both the conference owners, Next Gen 365 events, hi Ryan and Shirley, and I asked the team at Microsoft, hi Heather and Adam, thank you, and I asked them if they would support a grant program. And not only did they say yes, and I just asked them, like, like a 10 cup, like maybe could we get like 5 or 10 free passes that we could have, maybe local businesses, small ones, and maybe some nonprofits come. Well, baby, they came back with spades, okay? We got like 60, okay? 60 free passes. This is so much of an investment that both of those organizations, principally Microsoft, made to make this possible. We created a grant program. We call it the AI Momentum Program at M365 Con 26. And I've got a few people who've gotten those grants. They applied. They're business owners. They're in nonprofits. They're a different type of group. And they have come to the show to kick off their AI Momentum. So we're going to take a brief break. We're going to get them all mic'd up, and then we're going to we're going to have a 45-minute discussion about worries, challenges, hopes, dreams, next steps, everything with actual users in small organizations so that you guys can get a picture of what that actually looks like. So we'll be back in just a few minutes. Join us soon. President of HR Solutions, but he's actually here with me. So we have, or answer questions. He's my technical brain genius. I think we have one more, and then this is Dawn. She's also our because she runs a media company that works with mission-driven organizations. Especially for you, you wanted some support to provide, because you're in marketing, so Dawn is AI certified. Right? But what I hope we're going to do is you're all going to get mic'd up. This is a podcast. We are streaming live on my but don't worry, you wouldn't know. And the two of he's doing amazing. So make sure when you talk to Microsoft people, say
From
hi to Chris.
Orlando?
Yeah, you're live right now.
Are you in Orlando?
Are we live? All right, we're back. Hey, everybody. And you had a little moment about backstage. It's okay. I'm Nico Birdie Miller. I'm the CEO of Change 3. I'm also honored to be part of the innovation motion at M365 Con 26. That is the Microsoft 365 Community Conference here in Orlando. We're in day 2 of the conference. And as I talked about when we last paused our stream, we created a grant program, Next Gen 365 events, Microsoft and my little company made it possible. And we got almost 100 people to apply. Microsoft dug deep into their, pretty big pockets, but they made such an investment. And so did the folks at Next Gen 365. And we've got 60 local and even non-local. We've got companies from Minnesota. We've got people from all over the country and even all over the world participate in this grant program. And I've got 4 of them here. I've got actually 5 people, not all of them in the grant program, but most of them are. And we're going to have for the next 45 minutes, maybe a little bit longer, we're going to have a really candid, open conversation about what's the journey look like. If you're in a small organization, maybe you're in a nonprofit or you're cash constrained or maybe you're staff constrained, what does the journey look like to go from what you were or where you are today, which is 0 AI, and you're using Microsoft 365 to becoming a frontier firm? What does that look like? So first, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go around the table and let each of these gorgeous people introduce themselves and tell us a little bit about themselves. And then we're going to have a really, hopefully, spicy, interesting conversation. And I'm going to start with this gorgeous Latina right here.
Hi, everybody. My name is Gilda Alvarez. I'm a cloud architect / data engineer. I mentor minorities into the areas of data. I've been doing that for the last 3 years. I had the opportunity to be given this grant, so I'm excited to be here.
Ryan Dean. I'm a digital marketing manager at United Arts of Central Florida. We are a nonprofit here locally, one of the biggest in the country for artists, culture, and my background is a very creative background in videography, storytelling, things like that. But I've always had a love for the technical side. So getting into the AI from the creative lens has been an amazing experience. And being able to do that professionally is now a dream come true.
Good afternoon. My name is Dawn Jordan Jones. I'm the founder and president of 2911 Media, where we market our truth and help mission-driven leaders, organizations, nonprofits, and ministries attract the people they're called to serve. I'm also a certified AI consultant, so I utilize AI tools to accomplish that. And we do branding, marketing, web design, graphic design, and social media management.
My name's Adam Dean. I'm not sure if her cousins are around, so we'll chat about that later. I'm the president and CRO of HBAR Solutions. We're a technology solutions provider, Microsoft solutions partner, and really excited to help small businesses really take their company to the next level.
Hi, my name is Betsy Swain. I'm here from ProSay Solutions. I'm a senior Microsoft 365 consultant, and we help small and medium organizations all over the country, even some out of the country, just with implementations. We work really in the collaboration spaces, so this co-pilot stuff is just very exciting for our clients, and we're really, really excited to see where this goes.
Woohoo. All right, and y'all know who I am. I'm Nico Birdie Miller. I'm a researcher, a rancher, an economist, a CEO, a mother, and a wife. And we're all super busy. And I'm so excited to have all these amazing people and everybody here joining us. We spent some time earlier talking about how small businesses are actually the missing link in a whole evolution of positive change, innovation, and creation brought about by AI. And my whole process or my whole hypothesis or my plea to the CEO of Microsoft is I think that Microsoft 365 is literally the foundation for every small business in the world to embrace AI and to do so securely, successfully, effectively, and to grow and to scale. Now, he might not agree with me, but me and him are going to have a conversation. So I'm hoping that you guys today in this panel are going to expose to everybody watching and everyone who will watch, what's the journey like? And I'm going to start with you, Ryan, because when we were doing our grants and we had some conversations with some of our grant recipients before the show, and Ryan was kind enough to spend some time with us, he told us his story about what he's doing. So I want you to spend a little bit of time and talk about it.
Okay. So my background's been in videography. I've been a videographer for 20 years and just kind of in that whole creative market, got into marketing. And about 2 years ago, I was at an organization and AI was just coming out and LLMs and things. And I just started just soaking it all in. And I went to my manager. I said, look at all these cool things that we could do. And she looked at me and she goes, don't tell anybody about this. Don't use this here. You're not allowed to use this here. So I left that job. And for the next year and a half, taught myself as much as I possibly can. I'm that kind of thinker. I know I'm the poster child for ADHD. I go at my own pace and I ask questions. And I was in school, I was no good because I was always scared to ask questions. So I struggled there. So here I have a tool that will teach me that I can ask as many questions as I want. And so I start building my own systems. I start learning and going down rabbit holes. I fall in love with data analytics. I fall in love with just psychology and learning how to teach these to think. And I get into emotional intelligence AI, and so I'm just kind of just seeing where I can go. And then eventually I had to get a job again. so so I applied for United Arts of Central Florida, and I want to go into the nonprofit because I was realizing with my AI stuff, I wanted to help people. And that's my driver. That's what makes me happy. That's what gets me up every day. So using AI to help people, I built an app for somebody and it used some emotional intelligence and they're like, well, we could use this for this. And I'm like, that's almost manipulating, using psychology for sales and things. And I was like, I'm not comfortable with this. So I went to the nonprofit world and there in nonprofits, you wear a million hats. There's small little organizations, everybody does 5 or 6 jobs. And so in the interview process, I was showing them my AI stuff. I can do anything in the marketing and do all the content creation, but I can also do the AI. And so United Arts Central Florida, they support over 150 different organizations here locally for the arts and culture. And they said, well, come on in, help us develop some tools, and we want to help other organizations as well. So, so I'm still doing 5 or 6 other jobs, but they support me in my AI work, trying to do all sorts of processes and stuff. And in doing so, I realized, because I just know how my brain works, how am I going to start finding tools to build these solutions? Because I'm not classically trained. I don't know exactly what I'm doing in a structured environment. And so I'm working, and that's been the greatest thing with this Microsoft stuff is learning, okay, here's all my crazy ideas. Here's everything I've learned here, here, and here. And now I'm going to put it all together and it's all going to be in this tight little package and it's going to start helping people with their jobs. And so I went to the International Society of System Scientists and I say, hey, I need to learn how to build systems for things. And they started responding back. And I said, just give me one problem you guys are having. Let me see what I can do with it. And so they said, okay, here's a scientist who had passed away last year. He left all these notes. We don't know what to do with it. So I built the digital twin of him that stayed true to his thing. They were so impressed. They made me an honorary member. I took that technology that I built for that quick little project I did for them. And now I'm using that to analyze our SOPs, standard operating procedures within our organization to identify bottlenecks. So it's just a really, like every day I come in solving new problems.
And let me do my little
Go for it.
Microsoft thing, right? And all this is done on what platform?
Oh, this is all done within Microsoft.
Microsoft 365
Yep.
Copilot, right?
Yep.
Yeah, you're not using nothing else.
No, because
Not sprinkling nothing on top. This is just straight out Copilot right out the box.
we're using a lot of donor information, financial stuff,
Sure.
so it has to be
Be
safe and
secure.
secure. So that's the only
That's
platform
the
that
only one that you could trust. We're done. Thank you, everybody. Have a wonderful day. I will see you guys tomorrow. No. Wonderful. Thank you so much.
Mhm.
So tell me your story, dear.
My story. Well, I'm also not classically trained, as you say. I come from a background in public education, actually. Taught secondary vocal music for 20 years. And I love people. Like I was in education because I love people. And now I'm in technology because I love people. But I also love solutions. So what your story really resonates with me is you were solving real things. You were making people's lives better. You were responding to stimuli around you and doing what needed to be done. And at my organization, we're constantly trying to do that for our various clients. And our clients do just everything from every avenue of life. And so I really feel after the last couple of days, like I've got so much I can bring back to them. So many opportunities, and it doesn't matter how big your organization is. Like this can be extremely valuable, whether you're talking just about your individual workday or, like you said, bigger processes that are happening in your organization. And Microsoft is really taking this, I've noticed this session after session, taking this very seriously about how we keep your information architecture set up in a way so this can be done securely and this can be done safely. And that feels really good to me, as I'm not employed by Microsoft, but I do represent what they have to offer. So that feels good for me.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So I've been with Microsoft for 25 years. Microsoft has
Haven't
brought
because you were
food.
only 25 years old.
I started very young. No, seriously. I became a consultant at 21. So,
Oh, wow.
and I've been dealing with data since then, right? So I've seen the growth. I've seen everything. And I can talk about technology all day long here, but what I really want to talk about is community, right? The reason why I started speaking is because I wanted to share knowledge and I wanted to be able to, everything I learned, I wanted somebody else to know how to do it. In my journey of volunteering and speaking and as an architect, I noticed that there weren't people that look like me, right? Very few women. So it was during the pandemic, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to reach out to all these nonprofits and I'm going to start, hey, there's data engineering, there's data jobs, there's data that we need to prepare because what's coming, it's going to hit us and it's going to hit us really hard, especially because I was in the automation and I knew all the jobs that we were automating at that time. And I'm like, everybody's going to lose their job. This is 2020 and I already knew what was going to happen. And things started to happen, and then I knocked on every nonprofit and I'm like, let me teach you how to use data. Let me teach you how to do this. And they're like, data? Why? I'm like, oh my God. How do I get for them to see what was happening behind it? There was no other until AI came. And I was like, yes, let's do this because I have a helper now. So I'm like, it took me one day literally to write a book, 10 hours. Just to show them how to start in data. What are the skills? What are the careers? What are this? So I'm like, I'm giving this book away. I'm like, great. Now we can do this. Then I started posting using AI, automating all my posts. So to me, and I'm not saying that that's my business. No. I wanted to help. And that's the way that I saw AI came to my life to be my helper in that area. I moved thousands of customers to the cloud. Every day, I talk to clients every day. This is what I do for a living. This is what pays for me, right? I don't need, what I want to do in the community is I want to pay back what one day somebody in Microsoft community said, let me mentor you on data. And that's when I started Latinas in Data, because I want to be that mentor that people can go to move their careers. And I mentor everybody. It's not just Latinas, but the people that mentor are all Latinas. And they're all helping other people to come into the data.
Yeah. Gilda mentored me recently, you guys. So watch out for her. She's gonna mentor you, and it's all good. It's all good. So Dawn, dear, tell me your story.
Wow. 3 years ago on a Friday night, it was 7:30. I was like, wow, I have nothing to do. My coach called and she's like, jump on Zoom quick. I was like, okay. And she introduced me to AI and it blew my mind. I know it's been around now that I know I'm a consultant and I am classically trained. So I do have my certification. Shout out to Alicia Little. But I was blown away at what it could do. And that was before the training and for giving it my voice. And now I've been able to take that and it's making my life so much easier. The things that I do for my clients, this is helping me create a strategy and be able to deploy it in a matter of seconds versus sitting down and making sure I've got all the pieces. It's basically uploading everything onto the platform and saying, this is what I need. I've become very, 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 very good at prompting because that's where it starts. And so I have gotten really, really good. But it also is helping me with graphics. Like I have churches that I work with, a lot of churches I work with, and Sunday morning they send me their title, their scripture, their points. We upload it, and boom, we have graphics that are can't be replicated, that really tell the story for the ministry. So
Amazing, amazing. And Adam, darling, tell us your story.
All right. So a little bit about HBAR. All of our team has been in the industry and working for large manufacturers for at least 20 years of experience of all of us. And our passion is really helping people like everybody at this table. One of the really cool things that we've started to adapt AI to do is allow it to offload a lot of the mental stuff in our conversations with our customers, because I like to look at our company as we're empathetic problem solvers, and then give us your hardest challenges and we'll work through it. We use Copilot to be able to record the sessions that we're doing. So then I don't have to take a note, then I type it into OneNote, and then I got to go search and like, what did the customer say? And I forgot. Now it's all just being recorded. There's a ledger of it. I can ask Copilot what was going on in the conversation. So then now I can actually have a genuine connection with our customers and then be completely present and not have to be worried about, oh, I might forget this one thing. I'd say that's been one of the biggest transformative piece for us, is to be our authentic selves in front of our customers and then being able to not have to worry about, typing things out all the time.
100%.
That's good.
100%. So one thing that I want to bring, because y'all already heard my story, and I'm not going to talk. No, I'm joking. So I'm a CEO. I have a small business. I started my first business in 2005. So that's 21 years as a business owner. And before that, I had a decade as a market strategist, a chief strategy officer at a research company that started in Boston. And so for the last 3 decades, I have actually researched how businesses of all sizes consume technology. I was one of the first economists to build a macroeconomic model of IT spending around the world, and specifically in the United States. And so I could provide demand side and, sell side competitive analysis about, server purchasing of companies of a certain size or in a certain industry. And at that time, that was very rare. Now everybody does it, baby. But and I don't do that anymore. But what I learned is in those 30 years, I've surveyed almost 500,000 people in 16 languages on 4 continents. And I've learned a little bit about how businesses are adopting technology. And for me, this moment, what I want to impress upon everybody is there's not a lot of moments that you live through that are literally history and you feel like it. You're like, this is history. Like in 50 years, kids are going to read about this, and well, they're probably not going to have books, but like on their little tablets or however people read. Like this moment is literally history. And what I want to impress upon everybody, especially because we're on Microsoft's channels and we're in Change 3's channels. So for the Microsoft 365 ecosystem, if you guys hadn't been thinking about like really small companies, now I know you guys are amazing, high touch, super support for all your enterprise customers, and maybe you're smaller enterprises or what have you, and it's incredible, and you guys are doing so much, and it's wonderful. But if you hadn't thought about those really, really small businesses, I'm inviting you and I'm encouraging you, I'm challenging you to think about them. Because small businesses are volume, right? And we talked about it earlier. 400 million businesses, which is probably really a billion if we add in independent contractors and, people like that, sole proprietorships. So that's 1 in 7 humans are a small business owner. So if you're thinking about sweeping change to change the world and make it better through AI, then it's actually going to be there that it's going to happen. 70 to 80% of all workers work for small companies in the whole world. And in the United States, it's 60% because we got more big companies. But either way, the largest employers are actually small ones. And for the people on my channels, which are going to be those small and mid-sized businesses, baby, if you're not using Microsoft 365, I'm telling you, you got to consider it. And this is not a paid advertisement. It's because right now, this is about picking platforms upon which you can create a launch pad to grow. And the platform that is most likely going to be the most stable, the most secure, the most evolving, adapt, robust, professional, right? And designed for your productivity and your scalability right now is Microsoft. Yes, I know there are other workplace productivity applications out there or suites or solutions, but they're like afterthoughts, right? These are the guys that innovated this whole thing, right? Like the gold standard, you know? And okay, and I'm not a person about labels or anything, but my point is when you are building your business future, your business foundation, well, I would suggest you build it on something that is not only the best, but stable,
Mm.
right? Stable. On something that you can trust, because when we talked about that earlier, like trust is so important. Trust is a requirement for ideas to thrive, for people to thrive, for businesses to thrive. And so the one thing, and then I think you said it, a lot of these other platforms, they're not talking about things that make you feel secure. They don't tell you that they're going to protect your data. They don't tell you that they're going to ensure that your tenant, they don't have governance models. And some of them do, but not for us small guys, right? You might have to be at the enterprise level to get those sort of special elitist type of features. Well, at this one, that's not the case. And I could be wrong. You better tell me if I'm wrong because I'm going to look at the two of y'all. But from so far, what I've learned and what I've seen and what I'm sure these guys have seen is that this is literally the only game in town where you literally can trust. And trust is what's required for us in this moment in history where we're reimagining everything we've ever done, like Ryan did, like Gilda did, like Betsy, like Adam, and like Dawn. We're rethinking how we do things and we're doing things we never did before. And we got to feel secure. So I want to turn it, I want to spend the next few minutes because, we got to get to a party, people. But I want to spend the next few minutes. And I know it's all been goodness and light, and that's all good. And that's where we got to start in love and peace and joy. But let's take a moment. And I want to see what you guys think. A lot of people talk about scary things when it comes to AI. And you had that Tom Cruise movie where it's like the entity and it's like taking over the world and all this type of stuff. And you got the bots and you got the trolls and you got all this type of stuff out there that gives AI like a kind of bad flavor where you're like, maybe I don't want to do this. What do you worry about? What's your number one worry with small businesses in the whole world? 1 in 7 people on the planet work for a small business unless all of them start using AI.
Well,
What do you worry about?
since we're being candid here,
Yeah, be
and I come
candid.
from a background in education, I worry that we might not be doing enough in our schools to prepare kids for this future. We're preparing them for something that existed 20 years ago, 30 years ago, whatever. And my sense is that what we're really going to need, the currency of the future is creativity, and it's problem solving, it's solutioning, it's being strategic, and it's not memorization of fact, it's not regurgitation, it's not, and I'm not trying to tear down our school systems in our country. I just think that we have a long way to go to get the next generations ready for what might be coming when we don't even really know what's coming.
Girl, did you read my mind?
Yeah.
Because
Read my
I'm
mind.
using Copilot. So now, Ms. Gilda, she blew me out of the water when she said she wrote her first book in 10 hours because
I
I've
know.
been working on this mess
Yeah.
for 10 weeks, okay? And I'm still, but that's because I haven't put the time in. But I'm working on another book with Copilot, and it's called The Radical Strategist. Because my hypothesis, and I still want all of you guys to talk about your words, so don't let me switch the channel on you, okay? But what I'm going to say is because you mentioned what you just talked about. My hypothesis is that over the last 40, 50 years, we've drifted away from strategy. Right back in the days, in the beginning of business consulting, Peter Drucker and all those guys, Mintzberg came up later in the 90s. People have researched this with big companies, right? Strategic thinking, critical thinking, strategy, strategic planning. Companies used to have strategy officers. CSO stood for Chief Strategy Officer, not Chief Science Officer, right? Back then, and it was all about strategic planning. And well, what is strategy? Strategy is an objective that you're aiming at, right? It is perspective. It is understanding the system, right? You're not looking for metrics. You're looking for signals and directions. Strategy is about where you're going, right? plans are about what you're doing, right? But what happened, and IBM actually was the one that kicked this mess off, and it was great. It was great. But by 2010, when you started to have data analytics and powerful data, machine learning, and things like that, then you had the rise of the dashboard, and so people became very metric driven.
Mhm.
Yes.
And the more, like you were just talking about it with kids, right?
Yeah.
The more you have metrics, your SAT score, your CST, your PPA, or whatever it is, right? The more metrics you have, the less strategic you become because you just focus on the number.
The data.
Mhm.
So my book is about, in the age of AI, metrics, that's like yesterday's news. And that us as humans, the best thing we could do would to become the radical strategists, that we're using it to get as much perspective as we can and as much so we understand directions, we're pivoting, we're shifting, we're making better decisions.
I like that.
Dude, so
So
am I crazy?
going back to the
Yeah.
education, it's one of the things that I fear the most, right? China right now is training on AI
That part.
their kids. The United States is so behind,
Mhm.
okay? And it breaks my heart because my daughter, Gen Zs, they're not able to find jobs, okay? We have these kids are getting depressed. They don't know what they're going to do. You know, nobody is addressing the problem that we're having right now. And I was talking to Heather specifically on that case
Heather Cook from
because Microsoft has a lot of programs for also student ambassadors.
Yeah.
You know, that we can start training our kids so then when they graduate high school at 18 or 19, they have the tools to be able to survive out there. You know, and we have done community here in the United States, and we spread all this community love to the world. But we have abandoned the workforce that is going to be the future of Microsoft, which is our kids. So I think we need to focus our efforts on getting these kids the tools they need when they graduate to find the jobs, to do all these things at the age of 19. Because I can teach somebody how to do a dashboard at 18. There's no, you can teach data. So the importance of data literacy and AI literacy becomes the most important thing. And China is doing it, and we are not.
Okay, so wait, now we're back to our CEO appeals, right? We made one earlier. Okay, so now we're going to do a president appeal, right? So whatever connections you guys have to the higher ups and the muckety mucks, right? What you just said, that is probably mission number one is
Absolutely.
education, not only for our children, but for us, right? For all these small business owners, education. So what other worries do you have? What's your worry?
Well, I work with a lot of artists. These are writers, these are poets, these are musicians, these are people who are scared that their jobs are going to get replaced. And so breaking down that barrier, that misconception is probably the hardest part of what I do. Sitting down and saying, okay, I know you have these fears. And when I show them this is a tool, like you're emotionally driven, you're an artist. What artist is, worst way for me to kill my creativity is give me a math problem. I got to switch to my logical side. So here I am now training the AI to take over these logical things that are taking up my time so that I can then use what I enjoy doing on things that are more creative and expressive. And so once I show them that, then I see in their face once they realize this is just going to make my life easier so I can do the fun stuff. And then we start, then we start working on tools and ways and going through processes.
Oh, awesome. So Adam, I'm not going to ask you about your worries because, and I shouldn't be asking you about your worries. I want you to talk to us about solutions. So why don't you start? So we've heard some worries, education, right? Some people are worried about jobs, and I'm gonna hear your worry in a second. But I want you to talk to me about solutions. Like, are those worries founded? Like, what's the next part after the worry?
Well, I think the worries are definitely founded, right? But I think when you look at it as what Ryan was just saying, AI is a tool. So when you understand it's a tool to enable the next generation. What Gilda was saying, China's using the tool, the U.S. is using the tool. Our kids are definitely using the tool. They're just using it for trying to figure out how to lie to parents. So that's really what they're doing. So like I see everything as founded, but what I'm excited about is looking at it as a tool. It's just like Iron Man. Iron Man can't exist without Jarvis, right? AI is the Jarvis piece. The reservation, or the thing that I would say that we need to tighten up a little bit, would be not just blindly listening to it right now,
Sure.
and then understanding how you can understand it as a tool, and that it's not always right, and understanding the reasoning behind like what's going on. And
I would say never blindly.
yeah, never
Right,
blindly.
ever, yeah.
That's a great way to say it.
Yeah. And what about you? You brought up a great worry. So what's the next step beyond that worry?
Solution?
Yes, the solution.
Well, I think we just have a long way to go before people aren't afraid. And when they start to not be afraid, they'll start to try things. And whether it's a really small thing where we're solving a small everyday thing, I can't agree with you more than I do about how much I love that Microsoft calls it Copilot.
Yeah.
That really resonated with me from day one, even before I understood what it was, because it's not going to be me. It's going to be my partner so that I can be the best version of me. And I've already seen that in my day-to-day work. And I just think if we can help more people see the
that.
benefits of that, then maybe the fear would recede a little bit.
Yeah.
And then that will hopefully trickle into all the things such as education.
Absolutely. So tell me your fear.
I don't really have any fear just because I've always been open to new, fresh, and maybe that's the creative part of me. What I do is when I'm working with my clients, they're very fearful. And I said, okay, let's back up. When I was growing up, seatbelts were optional.
Right, they were optional. They didn't exist.
They really didn't exist. But eventually they were required. And now most people don't get in a car without one.
Except my husband.
Right, well, I know people too. Then you look at the microwave when it first came out. Oh, it's this, it's this, it's this. There's probably minimal percent of households that don't have a microwave now. And so when I break it down like that to my clients, yes, this is something new. Yes, it could potentially seem scary, but let me show you what it can do. And when you show them a couple things, and I mean, I use it for solving problems, developing strategy, coming up with better email, subject lines. I also use it for cooking.
Oh yeah.
I'm in the kitchen. Geez, I don't have this, this, and this. What can I sub for? I'm out of mayonnaise. It's like, oh, make your own.
Yeah.
Like, oh, okay. So I think that's the approach that I'm taking, is that I don't have any fear. My son is fearful because he's in that group chat and he's a gamer and he's one of those who wants to be authentic. I mean, like to the core, like more than I'm like, whose kid is this? But I see that as he sees me do the work and do the things, he asks, okay, so, and mine's called Gabe. I call him Gabe. Did Gabe help you with that? Yeah, he did. And so I'm seeing the breakdown come, and I'm hoping he can share that with his friends. Like, it's not going to take away your authenticity because he's a videographer. It's not going to take that away, but this will allow you to be more creative quicker because it takes stuff off your plate.
Awesome. So just like you, I have no fears. I believe that I'm covered by a higher power and there's
Amen.
nothing for me to worry about ever. And I take everything in stride. But here's something that I think about. And again, why I'm so delighted that Next Gen 365 events and Microsoft made this possible is I don't want anyone, any person or any business to be left behind. Because this moment is going to be a tidal wave of creativity and innovation and transformation and change and exciting things ahead. If we all, every one of us, all 7 billion of these souls, take part. But if it's only some, like a little bit, like the 0.1% of businesses in the United States that are large, that are like totally leading the way in corporate AI, right? If it's only them, then that's a problem for all of us. And it's not for me, right? It's a problem for all of us because where innovation starts is actually in small companies. Amazon started out as a small company. Mediacom Communications, small company. AT&T, a small company. Microsoft, a small company. It started somewhere. So if we, as a group, as an as an ecosystem. Don't inspire all those people out there that might be like, oh, that's not for me. I saw the Tom Cruise movie and they gonna kill us, right? If everybody's feeling worried about Skynet and all that, and they're like hesitant, this is our opportunity, right? You go get a cup of coffee. You be like, come on, baby, let me talk to you about this. And like just help them reduce that anxiety and help them find that first step, that trust. That's what I think about a lot. I want the world to be better because I got, even though I know you don't believe me that I'm a 52-year-old woman, I have two very small children. And in 30 years, when they taking over my company and doing all the great things they're going to do, I want the world to be better, not worse. And I believe the world will only be better if all of us evolve, all of us. The lady who sells bracelets in sub-Saharan Africa and the man who shovels cow boo-boos to burn, right? And right, if all those people, because they all do have one of these, you guys, don't play, right? They do. Like every corner of the world has one of these. And you can put Copilot on one of these, even the kind that flip, right? They all have what's needed to get started. Now all we have to do is inspire them together.
I have a friend
Yeah.
who has a company. He just started. He's an AI engineer. And he built his own platform in Azure. And he automated finance, sales, marketing, everything. He is the CEO of a company that has 0 employees. And his company is scaling every month, growing every month. The future of competitive for this small business is how you use productivity and how to use AI to bring your competitive advantage. So this person is one. Many more are coming. So
Oh,
it's time to jump on the wagon, people.
yeah, absolutely. So, guys, we got 3 minutes left. I'm gonna give each of you guys like 10 seconds, 20 seconds to have a last closing word, and then I'm gonna give a final wrap up. And hopefully tomorrow, everybody and their brother gonna be out there, be like, "Let me help you with your AI. Let me help you do this." Either way, everybody, each one teach one. Lead with love. Start with nurturing support, guidance. Don't be afraid to fail. Learn from it and help one another. So I'm gonna start with this beautiful, lovely Latina right here.
So if you look for Jill Alvarez, you're going to find always mentoring next to it. Okay. Because that is how we can, the people that know the path, we can draw that for many of the generation and the people that are currently have lost their jobs and they're struggling in this situation. You have to remember the AI revolution or data and AI is going to be such a change, just like when we have my grandmother, right? Farmers. They were all farmers. Everybody was farmer. 89% of the population was farmer. After the Industrial Revolution, only 14%.
Yeah.
So that same critical shift is happening today,
Yeah.
right? So we need to adapt. So many degrees appear, right? The electrical engineers, the civil engineers, the sound engineers. So all of these careers will build around a revolution, right? I still don't see data engineers and AI engineers careers. We got to jump on as an education, as a country. We need to jump into those careers today. I don't care what technology platform you take. We have to think of what's the future of this nation, right? And we got to jump as institutions into that wagon as well. We're pushing so much people to learn, but we're not giving them the tools and the platform for that to be structured. That's it.
Thank you, sister.
I'm going to look at this through my creative lens. You know, I open up an agent and it's a blank canvas. How do you think? How do you process information? There's an infinite amount of ways that you can configure an agent. So looking at it through and getting other creatives involved and teaching them, this is a creative medium. This is an outlet. And once you understand real basic principles here and there, it all comes together, natural language processing. You don't have to code anymore. Just imagine, and you can and tell it and see what happens and experiment. And it's amazing.
Awesome. Last words.
I think we all are called, those of us who get it, are called to be ambassadors and to bring everybody else along. And it may take baby steps, but if, like you said, everybody's got a cell phone. We've been using AI.
Mhm.
That's what Siri is. That's what Alexa is.
Yeah.
So I think if you break it down and just become it and help take the fear, like ask them, what are you really afraid of? Or then my next question with all my clients is, what keeps you up at night? This is your solution. And you were talking about the one person that has all these AI employees. People are scared, like, oh, it's going to take my job. No, the people who do not come along and embrace AI, those are the ones that are going to be jobless. If you embrace it, you can find a way to make not only yourself valuable to another company, but you can also make yourself valuable to yourself. The ideas, like I've got a whole new brand that Nico's family is, our company is helping me launch next week that came out of ideating with AI. So I think the opportunity is that the sky has no bounds.
Absolutely.
I'm going to add a little bit to what Dawn said. I'm going to end with more of a challenge. Take one really small task that you either can make your life more efficient or that you really don't like doing during the day, like what Ryan was saying with numbers. Take one really small task, create an agent. If you don't know how to create an agent, just ask AI how to create the agent, and it's going to help you and get yourself there. Just try a little something small, get comfortable with it. It's going to be a phenomenal tool. I'm really excited to see the outcome in the next 5 years.
Yeah, and I'm just gonna button up from all the things that you guys have got me
I
thinking
love
now.
it.
I
It's so good.
am loving leaning into the way the business world is absorbing change management as a legitimate function. We are now understanding so much about how hard change is for humans and how to get there, and leading with empathy and understanding the things that you're saying. Just, I think that's beautiful, and I think that, like you said, Don, we need to lead the way,
Mhm.
and we will help folks get there.
Absolutely. And my last final word, and it's what you're just saying, that leading with empathy and support and nourishment and nurturing is more than beautiful. It is absolutely beautiful and transformational, but it works. Because here's what I learned with my kids, right? Especially my son. I could go yell at him and be like, boy, do your lessons. I homeschool. Do your lessons, right? And then it could turn into a fight. And then guess what? I lost all my energy. He lost all his energy. And guess what? No lessons got done. And my husband, of course, leans in and is like, just beat him. No,
Old school
right?
dad.
He goes, it'll work. He's like, just beat him like 3-4 times and never do it again, right? But see, and he's right? It does work, right? You can force people to do things. You can make it a requirement. You can mandate it. But that is going to eliminate the choice. You want them to choose to do it. And that takes so much more effort up front. And I do. I've found every single way to navigate my children to choose to learn, to choose to do the lessons, even though they're undesirable. And they are so boring, and we do need to do some work with those. But the point is I follow an example that works, which is you take individuals with completely free will and you show them where you want them to go, right? Where they're aiming. And then you enable them to make choices to help them get to that destination. And some of those choices are going to be hard. And some of those choices might be scary. They might have to take a leap of faith. They might have to go through a little bit of a hardship. They might have to sacrifice some. They might have to give more than they feel like they're getting back for a little bit of time. It's all seasons. But when they make the choice, then they become what we talked about earlier, a champion, right? So the same is true with this AI. We want everybody to choose to say, you know what, I don't quite know what this is, but I'm going to choose to learn it. I don't know where the outcome is coming. I don't know if I'm going to lose my job, but guess what? I'm confident that I've got the tool that I can find a new job, right? Like this baby, right? You did, right? You said, oh, I don't like this job. I'm going to go do something else. Now we can adapt, we can evolve, we can change, we can grow, and we can learn. So back to my pleas. I'm always playing with my little tin cup. So Microsoft 365 community you guys are so incredible. What an incredible community. And all of you I know you all are reaching every corner of the world. Take this moment. I hope we have impressed upon you. I hope we have shown you the importance of each member of our society, but especially our small businesses, and that we have inspired you to use your free will and agency and all of your influence and power to go out and inspire people. That coffee shop owner, the Lyft driver, your cousin, your auntie, right? That small business that you're connected to and influenced by. Take a moment and give them a little bit of mentoring. And honey, if you're too busy, you just send them our way because we got all these people here and we'll help them. Guys, thank you so much for joining us for the last 2 hours. We appreciate your attention, your time, and your energy. We hope that we gave you something. And if you like this, blow up the chat, post all kind of comments. Hit me up personally. You can find me, Nico Bernie Miller. That's Kneko. There aren't very many of me at all. There's like none. You'll find me. But find me. I can't wait to hear your stories. I would love to get you into our program. If you want a mentor, hit me up. I will connect you with a business owner that needs your love and support. And have a beautiful, blessed, amazing day. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Wow.
We did
That was
it.
good.
Thank you.